Hello and welcome to the Live by Heart Today show number 63. This is a show designed to help you navigate change, uncertainty, and the new world we found ourselves in. We'll talk a little bit about science. We'll talk a little bit about how our body works. We'll talk a little bit about intuition, and we'll talk a lot about transformation.
Streaming from Retro Earth Studio and brought to you by
Learn to play jazz piano like a pro, by a pro, with Jazz Piano Pro Essentials at jazzpianopro.com.
And wearehistorically.com. Conscious Human Apparel. It's time for the next episode of Live by Heart
Today.
I'm Dawn Spiegelberg, medical intuitive and coherence coach. We're focusing on rebirth, and today's theme is what you gonna do? With me for today's Heart to Heart is my co-host, Wendy R. Wolf, professional transformation facilitator. Welcome, Wendy.
Thanks, Dawn. I'm really glad to be having this conversation today. We're at the end of our rebirth series. We only have a few more. And this one is really delving into the death like we've been. But this one, really, we're going to say hello to the pervasiveness of death and the blessing that can be in our life. I know that sounds so weird, doesn't it? But there's so much good fruit in recognizing the reality of death and how that can serve us in our relationships, etc. So we started with something that you brought up. So do you want to share?
Yes. You had mentioned in one of Carlos Castaneda books that death is beside us every moment, and we avoid it. We don't spend time thinking about it. It's not a pleasant subject, and it's never more apparent that we don't spend time thinking about it than when someone near and dear to us dies. And you've had a death in your family recently. I've had a death in my family recently. And so death has been something I've been spending some time with and perusing. And on Sundays, we do a little home church. And this time around, we're studying the holy book known as the Bible. And there's a story of a woman named Esther who happens to be married to the local king and Jewish. And she's faced with a situation where one of the king's right-hand men has decided he hates Jews and has chosen to have them all killed. And so her situation is she's going to die. And her uncle says, can you do something? Can you speak to the king? After all, you're married to him. And she says, she reminds him that anyone who would attempt to be in the presence of the king without an invitation is sentenced to death. So she's faced with death either way. If she does nothing, all her people die, as well as her. Mm-hmm. And if she does something, which is go to the king like her uncle requested, then she faces death. And in hearing that story as a child, they sort of skim over that part. And I believe it's important for our conversation. Mm-hmm. Because when we're faced with our own demise, with our own end, what do we choose? What do we think about? What do we feel about? And we spend so much time avoiding it, we don't know unless we're there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And because of reasons, I tend to be thrown to not act. But so often, and that there's times it's good to let go. We've talked about this. Good to let go. Good to be with what is. Good to wait for the wave. All these things. Meanwhile, eventually, when the time's right, when the thing's right, action is the key.
Mm.
And for me, the death of the left shoulder that Castaneda talks about, that helps spur me to action. And your story helps spur me to action. It's like, what can I do? And you want to finish that story? She comes up with a plan.
Well, I love that you mentioned taking action because in our conversation we talked about knowing when to take action. And the action this particular woman, Esther, takes is she asks everyone to stop eating for 3 days in an attempt to support her and give her an opportunity to, I think, it doesn't say clearly, but I think she's quieting her mind so she can hear the voice in her heart, which would be, in this case, the voice of God. And so our society is so accustomed to the internet where we can get an answer to some question immediately. We use microwaves and can cook our food nearly immediately. We, I believe, have lost the skill of being patient and waiting so that we can take the next best step with a knowing, with an understanding, with certainty. And that's the action you're talking about. And it's preceded by waiting and quieting our mind. So in Esther's case, she stops eating for 3 days, and the story doesn't tell us, but that not eating for 3 days actually, I believe, creates the solution to her dilemma because she's hungry. And what does she do? She decides to serve a dinner for her husband and this bad guy. So how brilliant was that?
Brilliant. Yeah, then she gets the chance to talk. It's awesome. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. And it's really, if we look, there's just mirrors everywhere for death is right here. What are you going to do? What you going to do?
Yeah.
And I think some people, and maybe I was some in the past, are like, oh, well, there's no hope. There's nothing I can do. Like, oh, we're all going to die. Life sucks, then you die. And so, like, why bother? And from my perspective, the whole opposite is true. It's like, we're all going to die. So, like, grab life, act, do it, love, help, bring your visions into reality, etc. Because this is the only time we have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It reminds me when I was young, still wet behind the ears. It was my first job. There was someone speaking to me about me going to church and, the way I had lived my life. Of course, it was very influenced by my family and my parents. And I was making specific choices. I continued to go to church even though I wasn't living at home. There were things that were happening. And they said, why do you do that? Why aren't you drinking? Why don't you come out and have a smoke with me on smoke break? And even as a young person, I said, well, if we only have one chance at this, which I had no clue then, right? I didn't even know that rebirth was an option or, being reborn and multiple existences, past lives and all that. I didn't know about that concept. And I didn't have to know about it to say, I want to do it right. And these are the choices I think are right. And that person was shocked.
Really?
Yeah, shocked.
Why?
I don't know.
Because people don't talk about it? I don't know.
Perhaps, there are so many things attractive. When I was in high school, I had friends and they would have parties and they would have beer at the parties. I don't know how they did that because everybody was underage.
Yeah.
How did they do that? And a friend was always offering me a beer. He would always very politely offer, and I was always politely refusing. And so I think because there are fun things out there to do, people just presume, oh, you're going to take advantage of a fun thing.
Mm, mm. Instead of a bigger picture. Instead of, it reminds me of a friend of ours who was an athlete in college, in high school and college, and she, she couldn't stay out late. She couldn't be drinking the night before for a game. Just can't do it.
Yeah.
If you want to perform at 100%. And it's like, what is my, what's drawing me forward? What you going to do? Am I going to play a bigger game, or if I'm going to play a smaller game?
Yes.
Because I can't party all night and play to my greatest tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, it's just so simple.
What's beautiful about her playing is that was a team sport.
Mm-hmm.
So she was connected to her performance, contributing to the performance and the outcome for the whole team.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that people have that same perspective or that same draw, because their minds may just believe that what they do only affects them. So when I was a competitive fencer, there were people who would, the night before a competition, and these competitions are all day, they would be doing lots of things that I had never dreamed of doing.
Mm-hmm.
And their performance was just their performance. They weren't a part of a team necessarily. And it turned out, so the next day when I was watching them after the craziness the night before, they were up late and, drinking and smoking and thising and thating. And they would say, oh, I only got 2 hours of sleep. Let's see if, I can pull this off. And it seemed like it was an excuse for failure.
Oh.
So if they didn't win on a particular moment, it was, well, I didn't get enough sleep.
So we trip ourselves.
Yes. Because if we don't succeed, who then is responsible? Right? If we don't succeed, then I'm going to feel bad. So I'll blame it on something else rather than take responsibility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm a big fan of failure. I definitely want to have a show on failure. And somebody was saying the other day, and it caught my attention, if you don't have a goal, you can't fail.
Yes.
Or if you're not committed to that goal.
Yeah.
It's like, just whatever. So we don't have to, we don't have to be committed to goals. But what I've been realizing lately is that if I'm not, then I don't get anywhere. I don't do anything. My life, in this one precious life that I have, who do I want to be? What do I want to do? Regardless of if there isn't reincarnation or whatever, or heaven or any of that, I still have this body and this soul in this life that's never going to be the same. It's not even the same tomorrow. So in this one precious life today, what am I going to do with it? Am I going to play all out, or am I going to, whatever?
I think that's what underlies the gratitude movement. The gratitude movement is an opportunity for us to appreciate what we do have, to turn our eyes on this moment, and to create an experience, a feeling in this case, of gratefulness for what exists. And that propels us. That creates the environment. We've talked about environment before, especially the environment that would allow a seed to germinate. So if we think about the seed again, all the information, all the potential is in the seed. However, it's not seen. It doesn't occur without the right environment. And so when we create a goal or when we choose something, we're stimulating this white substance that doesn't look like leaves and branches and bark to develop, because the seed doesn't know what it is. It doesn't know it's an oak tree. It doesn't know it's a kale seed. And we don't know what our full potential is. We don't know what we're capable of.
We don't.
And I'm reading a book. It's called Tiny Habits. And he says, oh, goals are great. And then you attain the goal or you don't attain the goal. And there's all this feeling and experience about, the goal and getting the goal and not getting the goal. And he says, create systems. So rather than creating a goal to lose weight, create a goal to eat healthy.
Yes.
And make that a lifestyle, make that a system that you practice. And then the benefits might be that you lose weight, you might decrease your blood pressure, so you're achieving a goal, but it's longer lasting because you created a system, a foundation, a framework.
Yes. And all those things, the weight, the blood pressure, that's all trailing indicators.
Exactly.
Yes. Of having habits that work for our body.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So can we recognize trailing indicators, or do we see everything, through that veil, through
it's like
through
trying
the smoke?
To be happy. It's like I have a goal to be happy. It's like that's a trailing indicator. That butterfly is never going to land on me if I chase it.
Yeah.
So, but I can have systems, habits of in soul and mind and body and relationships, etc., that make it inevitable. That incredible, I see it as wellness, but wellness on all the levels, happiness just happens. It's just the fruit.
Yeah. And it's a choice. We can go back to the story of Esther and understanding that she was faced with a choice, and it seemed like one choice, death or death.
Yes.
And what do you do? What do you do?
Yeah. And I think we've talked about this before. If we talked about it with one of my favorite quotes from Jung about, we're between a rock and a hard place. What do you do? Well, that means you're living your life as it should be, because something will spring the third way. And she found a third way, but she found it by being with it, not running away. She wasn't drinking and smoking and, sex, drugs, and rock and roll and avoiding it all, hoping it would fix. She was she was taking away the distractions, including eating, including, all the things she probably did every day, and in prayer and meditation allowed a new way to come from her and for all her people. And I believe, that's the crux of it. It's not just us, like you were saying with the team. We're part of a team, the human race. We're part of something big that's happening. And if we don't show up to the orchestra, I've said this before, with our instrument, it won't be there. And it really matters to get us over the edge. It's like Horton Hears a Who. That last little who had the whole universe that they were in able to be heard and things to change. That it's that important what we do. And I believe death helps us remember and act.
With that remembering, let's take a short break.
Thank you, We Are Historically, for your conscious human apparel. Shop online at wearehistorically.com.
Hello, my name is Wendy, and I'd love to invite you to our new Graceful Soul workshops. It's a new initiative from Graceful Soul Development Academy. We're starting July 1st. It'll be freedom that we focus on for July. This is a cultivated coaching zone. We'll be meditating. You'll get feedback. you'll get tools that you can use that'll be yours for the rest of your life. Please visit my website for more information or look for a link in the comments below. And in July, please come as my guest. We'll be delving especially into freedom. Thanks for joining us. I look forward to playing with you.
As a posture therapist, I'm qualified to pinpoint the cause of physical symptoms by realigning the body, and then it's the body that heals itself. When you are in a state of overwhelm, your mind is out of alignment with your values. As a coherence coach, I'm astute enough to identify the root causes and show you how to realign with what you value, and your mind can be whole. You can live by heart today.
Hi, I'm Darius Wilrich. I instruct an online video course that teaches anyone how to play jazz piano like a pro with my proven step-by-step system that makes it simple to learn. Jazz Piano Pro Essentials. Enroll today at jazzpianopro.com and download my free quick start guide. Welcome back to the Live by Heart Today show. We're discussing what you're going to do when we're faced with choices. And we talked about a historical figure and being faced with only two choices, chocolate vanilla, death or death. She actually found a third way. And I think it's actually a beautiful example of what's possible. And you have a story you want to share, yes?
Yeah, it's quite a well-known Zen story, and I really believe I'm with this story every day, and I believe it's about living with death. And it's basically the story: a man is crossing a field, and all of a sudden he sees a tiger, and he's afraid for his life, so he goes running, and he reaches the end of a cliff. There's nowhere else to go. He jumps off the cliff, and he grabs a vine, and he's holding onto the vine. And so there's the gaping maw below him, under the cliff, and there's the tiger above him. And, there we are. And then meanwhile, two little mice, it's like not bad enough, but two little mice are gnawing at the vine. It's just a matter of time. And this is life. I really believe this is a really great mirror for us. But what do we do? And so this says, as they chewed, the man pondered his fate. And he saw a juicy red strawberry, and oh my gosh, wild strawberries are so delicious. And on the ledge next to him, and he grasped it with the vine with one hand, and he plucked the strawberry with the other, and it tasted so sweet. And for me, this is so inspirational, because we're here for a short time in this body life with such blessing. And life is here for us to grab, to taste, to eat, to enjoy, to really, if we just once, I believe, get the real essence of life in its entirety in our experience, it's worth the whole ticket for admission, which you guys all know is like intense. We know. I mean, the ticket to admission is, a whole lot of BS.
It's a journey for sure.
It really is. But I believe just one strawberry is enough to make it all worth it. And that's my experience. And so every day I'm in that, what you're going to do. Can I be, I've done it enough that I'm good for, we've talked about this is a good day to die because I have tasted the strawberry. I have lived life. I've been life. And so that's the main reason I wanted to talk today about this subject. It's like this whole death thing is such a gift. It's a dark blessing, but such a gift to be just like, can we choose each day to eat the strawberry? Can we love our children and our partner and our people like really? Can we invest in our work? Really? Can we plant our tree that needs to be planted? Really? Can we do what needs to be done with all of us? Because we're in a small gap between darkness as far as this body is concerned.
I'd like to point out one thing with regard to that story, and that is, there was the tiger above and the chasm below, and then he's noticing mice. And what is he looking at? He's looking at all the threats. Yes?
Yes.
And then what happens? He turns his attention off of the threats. And that's the only way he sees the strawberry.
Yes.
He can't see the strawberry if he's fretting about all the things going wrong.
Yes. Yes. And then that strawberry helps him enter into that eternal now, which Zen is the practice of.
Mm-hmm.
That eternal now that is so delicious.
Mm-hmm.
That there is no death in that moment. There's only strawberry. There's only now.
Yes.
It's so good.
And that is the moment that you're referring to. That is the taking the action. So he was waiting, holding the vine, and then he changed what he was looking at. So he took his eyes off of all of the threats, all of the doom, and he was able to recognize something else. And then he had to let go of that vine with one hand in order to reach out and grasp the strawberry.
There's risk. There's risk in living full out. And we have to own it. Yeah, it's harder. It's harder. And I can't do it if I'm out of control and I'm in the sympathetic.
Yes, sympathetic.
Everything's reactive. And I'll tell you, when I first heard this story decades ago, I was just like, this is effing insane, this story.
Yes.
Right? I was just like, this guy is insane. Right? Yeah. F the strawberry. Right? Like, he's going to die. Right? And like, over time with my own process, I realized, oh my gosh, he's brilliant. He's like, this is the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Just loving, living, acting in this moment is it.
And hence the title of this show, What You Gonna Do? Thank you, Wendy. Any last closing remarks?
I just hope this helps inspire people to live. Choose life.
Yeah, we want to focus on the strawberry, not the tiger, not the chasm, not the vine and the mice.
Right. And in that moment is rebirth. Yes, we die and rebirth, but like that is an opening to life, true life, right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And can you choose it? Can you choose true life, the strawberry, and living by heart? Thank you so much. If you're watching us live, you can catch the replay. Or if you're catching the replay, let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear from you and tell us what's on your heart. For more information about how you can live by heart, please go to the livebyhearttoday.com website. Please like and follow this page and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our programs. We're here every Thursday at 4:44 Pacific time. From our heart to yours, we're creating a better tomorrow because we live by heart today.
And that concludes this portion of
Live by Heart Today!
Thank you for watching. View more episodes on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's give a shout out to our sponsors. Shop online at wearehistorically for your conscious brand apparel. Conscious human apparel.
Hi, I'm Darius Wilrich. I'll teach you everything you need to know about playing jazz piano like a pro with my 12-week online video course and downloadable guidebook, Jazz Piano Pro Essentials. Enroll today at jazzpianopro.com.
Thank you for joining us. Have a happy always.